For further analysis, we have invited to the show Charles Kupchan. He served as Special Assistant to former U.S. President Barack Obama and Senior Director for European Affairs on the staff of the National Security Council from 2014 to 2017. Mr. Kupchan, thank you so much for making time for us.
Good to be with you.
Sir, I wonder if I could begin with just getting your general assessment of what the heck is going on here, because Medvedev and Trump have been going back and forth on social media, one accusing the other of placing ultimatums, the other one saying, be careful with your words, words can lead to consequences. And now we've got these two subs headed to an undisclosed location. And President Trump is describing the motive for that as a threat coming from Russia. What's your assessment of what's happening here?
I think we can see this mostly as overheated rhetoric, two hotheads going after each other. Medvedev, after Trump said he's shortening the timeline for hitting Russia with new sanctions, accusing the United States of escalating, of ramping up. Trump responds, Medvedev responds, he mentions nuclear weapons, and then Trump says, well, if you want to play that game, I'm going to send some nuclear submarines closer to your shores. It is somewhat, I think, irresponsible for either side to talk about nuclear weapons at a time when there was a full-scale war going on in Ukraine. But it really is a sign of just how much has changed over the last few months. A few months ago, Trump was throwing Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, out of the Oval Office and blaming Ukraine for the war. Now he's threatening to move nuclear subs closer to the Russian landmass.
So, sir, if it is a couple of hotheads and a lot of bluster at this point, and at this stage we don't know if those two subs are powered by nuclear power or they're capable of having nuclear missiles, should the world be worried? I mean, how seriously do we take this?
No, I mean, I don't think that this is a sign of each side or both sides together beginning to move up the ladder of escalation. I haven't heard about or read about any increase in readiness. The United States is not in the midst of raising its nuclear alert level, nor are the Russians doing that. But this kind of talk, the nuclear saber rattling, is worrying. It's not new for the Russians. It is new for the United States, because throughout the Ukraine war, Putin and other Russian leaders have said, hey, be careful. We have nuclear weapons in our quiver. And at several times during the war, the Russians have actually carried out nuclear exercises and transferred tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus, moving them closer to NATO territory. But I see this largely as posturing, catering to domestic audiences, and not a sign that we're looking at a real increase in the possibility of war between the United States and Russia.
Is it at all more pressure on Russia to capitulate, abide by the request by the president to get to a ceasefire before August 8th, before secondary sanctions come into effect?
No, I don't think so. If anything, I think it makes it less likely, because Putin is not the kind of guy that backs down under rhetorical pressure. I think there are two things that are going to really be at play here. One, sanctions. Is Trump really prepared to tighten the screws, to put further constraints on the Russian economy and exports of Russian energy? And most importantly, is Trump going to decide that it's time to send more weapons to Ukraine? Because Putin has yet to show any sign of a willingness to compromise. That says to me that the only reason that Putin is going to stop is when he doesn't think he can get any further. And that's going to take giving Ukraine what it needs to defend itself for the long haul.
So then how long do you see this war continuing at this pace if neither side is budging and if the president is flip-flopping between who he's supporting?
I'm guessing that we're going to see Putin continue to prosecute a ground offensive and an air offensive against Ukraine for the balance of this year. I think Putin thinks that he can win, not in the sense of defeating Ukrainian forces and occupying all of Ukraine, but by taking more land in eastern Ukraine and then somehow breaking the country. That is to say, toppling the government, creating a failed state, encouraging uprisings, grassroots uprisings, and political instability in Ukraine. So I think he's going to keep up the pressure. Whether by the end of this year, Trump has said, Congress, I need more money. I need to give Ukraine what it needs to stop Putin. We don't know, but it seems to me that we're headed to that kind of decision point for the American president.
And if the president who campaigned on the idea that, hey, in 24 hours, I can get a deal done, I can bring peace to this ongoing war, this is Biden's war, he let this happen. If he's not able to do that, does it matter ultimately to Trump? Does it matter for his reputation? I mean, how do you think he's perceiving all of this?
I think Trump started off aligned with his base, which is we're going to end the war in Ukraine. We're going to end the war in the Middle East. We're not going to spend more money fighting other people's wars. We're going to spend money here at home defending the southern border. And that's not where Trump is today. He joined Israel in striking Iran's nuclear facilities. He has flip-flopped on Ukraine and is now saying to NATO, I'm going to stand by you. I'm going to let you guys buy American weapons. And I'm guessing that sometime in this summer, probably within a month or two, Trump may well ask Congress for more money. His base doesn't like it. But in the end of the day, Trump doesn't want to go down in history as the American president who lost Ukraine. And that's why I think you're seeing him toughen up when it comes to putting more coercive pressure on Putin, because that's really the only way that we're going to get a negotiated end to this war.
Charles Kupchan, a real pleasure to speak with you, sir. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Good to be with you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.